I know that I did everything in my power as an individual, as a scientist, as a learned person, to find a logical explanation for what I witnessed and photographed. I have yet to find it. If anything, it has opened up a whole new world to me that I never knew existed. It's time we get this out in the open. Address it, accept it, and study it. When there's a documentary that shows that there's a whole bunch of us that have managed to suspend our disbelief long enough to listen to each other and to inquire and to share, that it really brings the sharing closer. And more people will come forward and share. And pretty soon it'll be a groundswell.
The whole purpose is to educate people, educate young people, because there'll come a time where they're going to have to deal with this, and it shouldn't be through fear.
I'm excited that children might have the chance to really examine data themselves, to not be convinced by the opinions of people before them, positively or negatively, but to really have data that they can start making their own decision.
We have to learn it at all generational levels, and bringing the children up to understand these phenomena is vital.
It's important that children know more about UFOs so they know more about other living beings.
If I saw a spaceship hovering over, I would be ecstatic.
It's important for people to keep their hearts open for people from other planets.
I wouldn't know what to think.
Found out that I was definitely being visited by other intelligent life.
I wouldn't believe it.
I would probably feel really cool, honored that other life forms were visiting me of all people.
That would be proof that there was some other life form.
They aren't the same as us, but nobody's the same as anybody.
I would freak. I would just freak out.
I guess excitement, what's this gonna mean?
I wouldn't know how they would want to approach me.
I would probably be startled and surprised.
Or if they would be friendly.
I would work very hard to figure out how to make first contact.
Or if we could understand each other right off.
I would try to be as non-threatening as possible.
I would be a little frightened.
And try to find out what's going on.
In 1995, both my husband and I witnessed 3 amber orbs in a triangle formation, one on top and 2 closely aligned underneath, very close to our home, about 100 yards from our home, hovering above a private desert area. It was startling and it was amazing. at the same time. There was nothing there but blackness and these 3 amber orbs. And something told me to take everything in, the size, the shape, the color, the distance. They were about 3 to 6 feet each, depending on how close or far away they were. They were definitely oval shape. And the amber color within each orb, and I call them an orb because the light did not extend outside the edge at all. It was totally self-contained. It was very uniform, amber color, and it didn't glare at all. Every other light out there glares. And we have a beautiful panoramic view of the city skyline, so we know what helicopters and plane lights and street lights and so forth, every light out there glares. These did not. Very soothing, very mesmerizing. And I thought, if I don't get a picture of this, nobody's going to believe it. And as I ran to the closet to get my camera, my husband calls me back. He says, get over here quick. One of them is disappearing. And as I rushed back, we both watched in awe as the top orb started to dim as if on a dimmer switch. It didn't budge at all. It didn't waver, it didn't take off, it just dimmed as if it was on a dimmer switch, as if once it disappeared, it was still there, but we didn't see it anymore. I got onto the balcony, shot a quick picture of the 2 bottom orbs, and immediately noticed an eerie silence, as if time had stopped. It was quite extraordinary, and as I'm staring at these 2 bottom orbs, I have to admit, it seemed that there was intelligent presence staring back. The thoughts going through my mind were, who are you? What are you? Do you know that I'm here? I'd love to meet you. And the next thing I remember, the left bottom orb started to disappear, and I quickly shot a picture of that. And that was the only picture that turned out at the time. But for me, it was quite amazing because it verified that something did happen. I caught a picture of it, amazingly, as one was disappearing and one was still there. I put it on my mantle and kind of watched it for a little bit and wondered if I'd ever find out what this was. Eventually put the picture away, but I have to tell you that even though the picture was out of sight, the thought and the memory wasn't out of my mind. Did not see anything for 2 years. 2 years passed, and not a hint of anything, even remotely close to these amber orbs. January 22nd, 1997, I noticed 3 amber orbs now at a distance far west on the horizon. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, even though they're in a line formation, they were amber, they were in a formation, they were hovering for minutes, strangely similar to the 95 incident. The next night, the 3 amber orbs are now in front of South Mountain. And I knew they were in front of South Mountain because there's red blinking warning lights for the airplanes that are coming into Sky Harbor just in front of South Mountain. And this was definitely lower and in front of South Mountain. And I thought, enough, I'm getting my video camera. I ran downstairs, I grabbed my video camera, I got out to the pool area. I took about 18 seconds worth, the battery went dead. I walk inside, hook up the battery, run outside, they're gone. Now this was about 8 o'clock. About a half hour later, my husband comes up the drive and I gingerly walk outside and I said, honey, remember I told you about the amber orbs far west last night? Well, about a half hour ago, they were right in front of South Mountain. As I'm pointing, like this, they reappear in the same spot. And I thought, I have to get a picture of this. And I ran upstairs, I grabbed my 35 millimeter, get out onto the balcony. As I'm ready to shoot the 3 bottom orbs, suddenly 6 amber orbs in a row, totally equidistant from each other, massive span across, pop up above the 3. And I started clicking away. I happened to get 6 pictures in a row. As the 3 bottom orbs were disappearing, I caught this top formation, which, by the way, in retrospect, was in the same location and the same formation as 2 months later on March 13th, 1997, during the mass sighting. And I ran in to call the Arizona Republic because I wanted to get somebody out there to tell me what it was. And I get an operator on the phone, and I said, quick, you got to get somebody out there. There's some strange lights in front of South Mountain. Please, get somebody out there, take a picture of it, whatever, but tell me what it is. As I finished my sentence, they're gone. By the next morning, I figured there must be a logical explanation, and I called the Arizona City desk again and asked if anybody had called the night before to report strange lights in front of South Mountain.